Hi, I'm LifeScanner. I've been making shorts about different cases every day, but this one is longer, so I decided to split it into two parts. This video is the first part. The main character of this crime is the greatest con artist in Korean history. Now let's start. The funeral scene released by the bereaved family. The man lying in the transparent coffin is said to be Cho Hee Pal. Many people shed tears when they saw this scene, but they were tears of anger. It was impossible for him to die like this. The beginning of the fraud. He was just an ordinary kid from the countryside. Born in a rural village in South Korea, he graduated from elementary school and moved to Daegu, one of Korea's major cities, on his own. It is said that he told people around him, "I will succeed, take care of my family, eat pork to my heart's content, and watch TV comfortably." A resident of his hometown, who recently met Cho Hee Pal, remembered him as a child like this. He was smart. He greeted people well. He was small in build, so he didn't do bad things like getting into fights. I never thought he would become a con artist. He was a quiet and calm child. Despite being a very small village, not many residents remembered him, meaning he wasn't an unusually noticeable or noisy child in his early years. As a teenager in Daegu, Cho Hee Pal continued his livelihood by doing manual labor at construction sites. Later, he got a job at a frozen food wholesale store. During this period, he also briefly engaged in vending machine fruit sales and ran a fruit stall. It was around this time that he first met Kong, who would become his right-hand man. The development of the fraud. In his 20s, he worked various odd jobs around gambling dens. Around this time, Cho Hee Pal became involved in an illegal multi-level marketing scheme, which changed the course of his life. It is said he learned the business while working at SMK, Sungmin Korea, the country's first ever multi-level marketing company, where his older brother worked. In October 2004, after going independent, Cho Hee Pal established BMC Company, Limited in Donggu, Daegu, with the help of Kong and about 10 other acquaintances. BMC stood for Big Mountain Company. The company operated by pretending to lease medical equipment like massage chairs and pelvic correctors to bathhouses and hospitals, promising to share the profits, thereby attracting investors. The terms were to invest $3,300 per account, and in return, over 8 months, they would pay $4,300, a 32% return rate, in 166 installments, with daily payments of $20 to $35, including principal and dividends. Kong, Cho Hee Pal's right-hand man mentioned earlier, played a significant role in recruiting investors. As an eloquent speaker, Kong also served as an educational instructor during the recruitment process. Due to the efforts of Kong and others, BMC set up subsidiaries nationwide in a spiderweb-like manner. Initially, BMC paid the promised amount on the promised date. If investors were suspicious, they were taken to fabricated medical equipment leasing locations and reassured by showing them the equipment on site. With consistent payouts, convincing medical equipment leasing sites, and well-dressed, eloquent speakers, Cho Hee Pal's multi-level marketing company quickly gained a reputation as a trustworthy enterprise. The peak of the fraud. Cho Hee Pal further expanded his operations. He continued to set up similar companies not only in Daegu but also in Seoul, Busan, Incheon, and Gyeongnam. He created companies one by one for his close associates connected through personal and familial ties, such as Liv, CN, Challen, Rivers, and Ledden, to recruit investors nationwide. The primary targets were housewives in their 40s to 60s. This meticulously calculated fraudulent organization even targeted the pockets of the sharp-minded Chinese merchants in Gyeonggi province. By operating separate legal entities and running them as if they were independent from BMC, they cleverly evaded tax authorities' surveillance. Over 20 such legal entities were created nationwide. If one entity couldn't pay the investors, they would use funds from another entity in a different region to engage in what is known as a Ponzi scheme. This was Korea's first Ponzi scheme. In reality, the investments were not used for leasing medical equipment but were instead indiscriminately invested in legitimate and illegitimate ventures such as arcade games, department stores, hotels, trade, and gambling. Cho Hee Pal's multi-level marketing fraud was hugely successful. As the number of investors grew and he started handling large sums of money, He indulged in three things: golf, women, and gambling. Occasionally, he used drugs, and when he went to room salons, he would order expensive whiskey for everyone in the other rooms. He carried bundles of cash and had multiple girlfriends. Was it to compensate for his impoverished childhood? He drove a BMW and wore a Rolex watch worth over 10 million KRW, about $8,400. His luxury wallets and shoes were always meticulously clean without a speck of dirt. Although he was a con artist, he was thorough in his self-management. He would buy a box of apples for the apartment security guards and greet the neighborhood residents politely. Despite being exposed as a fraudster, the neighbors even said, "He could never be that kind of person."